Welcome to the Kyber Crystal Lounge.
I was hoping for Kenobi. Why are you here?
I am aware that you are here for Kenobi. It's been 17 years. We're all excited to see this, but you can let me.
Kenobi. Kenobi!
Fine. Here's the review for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Before we get to my thoughts on the two episodes, this is your spoiler warning because I will be doing a quick recap of the first episode and the second episode. I just finished watching both episodes, and I do have to say that my initial opinion is that it was awesome. The first episode starts with a flashback to Order 66. There's a Jedi training a group of Padawans in the temple when the door opens and clone troopers come in. It's a new perspective of Order 66 that we haven't seen before, with the chaos and the terror from the perspective of small children as they watch their master get gunned down by the clones. It has been 10 years since the fall of the Republic in Order 66, and Kenobi is living on Tatooine, watching over a young Luke Skywalker from afar. He tries to be involved in Luke's life a little bit. He's shown giving Luke a toy, the same toy that Luke flies around while giving C-3PO and R2-D2 oil baths in A New Hope. Uncle Owen doesn't like that Obi-Wan has been keeping tabs on Luke. He says that Obi-Wan has failed Anakin, and he wants to keep that failure away from his nephew, and tells Obi-Wan just to leave them be. Go. The boy is safer on the farm with the family, and Obi-Wan insists that he needs to be trained when the time comes. While on Tatooine, Obi-Wan has a job as a butcher of some sort. There's a giant dead animal out in the middle of the desert sands that Obi-Wan goes to and helps carve up. We see Obi-Wan doing the best he can just to keep a low profile and hide out in the desert. While on Tatooine, the Grand Inquisitor, the third sister, and the fifth brother all arrive, and they're hunting Jedi. They have had rumors that there is a Jedi hanging out in a local saloon helping the people of Tatooine. Upon their investigation, there is a Jedi revealed in the saloon, and when the third sister goes to strike him down, the Grand Inquisitor stops her blade from making full contact. He lets the Jedi go in order to follow him. Third sister has kind of a vendetta against Obi-Wan. It isn't exactly real clear, but she says that hunting scraps and chasing down stray Jedi that have survived is beneath them, and they should be going after bigger prey, such as Obi-Wan. But they're not sure that Obi-Wan is the person on Tatooine, and it's not. It is a different Jedi. This Jedi does eventually make contact with Obi-Wan and asks him for his help. Obi-Wan tells him the best thing that he can do is to take his lightsaber and bury it out in the sands of the desert and just hide. He says that the war is over, the Jedi have failed, and the best thing that this guy can do is just keep his head down. One of the cool things about this episode that we got to see that we haven't ever seen before was Alderaan and a young Princess Leia. Princess Leia is a rebellious, rambunctious, full of spirit, doesn't listen to her parents, and is exactly the kind of 10-year-old child you would expect her to be. While she disobeys her parents and doesn't attend some fancy party where her cousins have been insulting her, she is kidnapped by pirates or bounty hunters or whatever, but she ends up kidnapped. And it is revealed by the pirates that they are working for the third sister, who has found a link between Bail Organa, Leia's adoptive father, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, that they were friends. and she believes that if she takes the senator's daughter, that Obi-Wan will come out of hiding to help his friend. Her plan pays off, and Bail Organa and his wife reach out to Obi-Wan, who at first insists that he cannot leave Tatooine and that his mission is to watch over Luke. Bail Organa, Leia's father, insists that his daughter is just as important as the boy is, just as important as her brother. Obi-Wan tells him he has to find somebody else, but is later convinced to help when Bail shows up on Tatooine. Obi-Wan goes out into the desert, unburies his lightsaber, and sets off for the last known location of the ship that took Leia. And that is where the first episode ends. The second episode begins with Obi-Wan arriving on the planet, and he quickly finds another Jedi on the planet who is helping people. But it really isn't a Jedi. It is Kumail Nanjiani, who is pretty much like a con artist pretending to be a Jedi. And Obi-Wan convinces him at the point of a blaster to help him locate the girl. Once he has the information he needs, Obi-Wan finds Princess Leia and begins to try and get her out of the city. While he's in the middle of the rescue, the pirates that took her tell him that, he's predictable and that the third sister knew that he would be coming and kind of let it out of the bag that she's on her way. So while Obi-Wan and Leia are making their escape, the third sister shows up and puts an all-out bounty on both their heads, and every bounty hunter on the planet starts hunting them down. We get to see Obi-Wan using an uncivilized blaster as he takes out a couple of different bounty hunters who are looking for him. We get a confrontation at the end between the Grand Inquisitor and the third sister, and surprisingly, the third sister stabs the Grand Inquisitor through the gut. We know that he doesn't die because he is in Rebels, and Rebels takes place 5 years after these episodes of Obi-Wan. After the Grand Inquisitor goes down, the third sister, who isn't looked at very fond of by all the Inquisitors, she reveals to Obi-Wan that Anakin Skywalker is still alive and that Darth Vader would be very pleased when she brings in Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is left with this realization as he and Leia escape, and that is where the second episode ends. It's Obi-Wan and Leia on a transport going away from the planet where the Inquisitors are, and Obi-Wan finding out that his former Padawan is still alive. Now that we have the recap out of the way, I have to say that this was a very strong start to Obi-Wan. There's only going to be 6 episodes, so we are already a third of the way through. It's absolutely beautifully shot and very well acted. I was very impressed with how much Ewan McGregor channels Alec Guinness. There's a lot of the little quirks, like Obi-Wan running his hand kind of over his lower lip and off to the side as he's like in thought. Something that you see Alec Guinness do in A New Hope. And there are a few times when Obi-Wan is speaking that you can hear Ewan McGregor really channel Alec Guinness and his accent. And it's kind of a really good blending between the two actors. You can definitely feel the presence of an older Obi-Wan in this show. And Ewan McGregor finds that middle ground between where he was in the prequels, especially at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and where Alec Guinness is in A New Hope. It will be interesting to see where the show goes from here, because we do know that Obi-Wan is going to have a confrontation or two with Darth Vader, and depending on how that plays out will really kind of affect like how the flow of events play out and how certain lines of dialogue in A New Hope are looked at. From my perspective, I've always thought that when Obi-Wan and Vader meet for the first time on the Death Star, and Vader, when I left you, I was but a learner, now I am the master. I always took that as their last confrontation on Mustafar, where he was still kind of like Obi-Wan's protege and still looking up to him. Even though he wasn't a Padawan at the time, he was a Jedi Knight. And it just seemed like a lot of time had passed. And I never got the impression that Vader would have let Obi-Wan go if he knew where he was or if he was alive or anything like that. I feel like Vader would have been a little bit more obsessive. So to have Obi-Wan and Vader meet 10 years later and then not for another 9 years, because A New Hope is 9 years after this series, it seems like something that Vader wouldn't let stand. Seeing Obi-Wan not use his lightsaber and try and hide the fact that he is a Jedi was a real interesting spin on the character. There's really only one point in these 2 episodes where he even uses the Force, and that is to prevent Princess Leia from falling to her death. Everything else, he is trying to be as undercover as possible and just keep to himself. He uses a blaster, he doesn't use the Force, and tries just to be a normal, average person. Seeing all this, it kind of feels a little bit like Luke in The Last Jedi. Almost that Obi-Wan has given up hope and it just cut himself off from the Force, which I feel like kind of validates how Luke was feeling in The Last Jedi. Overall, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes, and I am excited to see where the rest of the story goes. It'll be interesting to watch certain things play out and how they will bridge the gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, as well as respecting the canon. That is my biggest thing that I was worried about this show, and so far it has put my fears at ease. I plan on doing a lot more with Kenobi as it comes out, doing episode breakdowns every episode, and it will be something that I cover in the future when the entire series finishes up. So subscribe to the channel to follow along so you don't miss any content. I would love to hear what you guys thought of the first 2 episodes. Leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts, what you think is going to happen, and what you would like to see happen. I want to thank you for stopping by the Kyber Crystal Lounge. May the Force be with you.